It's very warm in this room, so I'm going to do my best to do this video as quickly as possible, despite the fact that I just had to restart because I forgot to actually turn the microphone gain up. But yeah, I'm going to try and do this video as quickly as I can because I don't want to suffer in here for too long because these lights make it even warmer, my god. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome to the chaos. I do all things music related on this channel, from sharing tips and tricks, songwriting and production challenges, and every now and then I just do a talky video where I'm reviewing something or talking about musician life. Today, we're kind of doing a talky video where we're kind of reviewing, except it's not really a review, because we're talking about some second-hand gear, and as a general rule, people don't tend to do reviews when they've got second-hand gear. Have you ever seen someone actually review a piece of gear that they got second-hand? I mean, I've literally done it before. Just realising that I have reviewed, done a comparison of, shared some thoughts on a piece of gear in this room that is a second-hand piece of gear, my mic preamp. But anyway, the point stands, people don't generally do these sorts of videos for second-hand gear a huge amount, which is probably partially because a large amount of those videos are likely for sponsored content, or at least free gifted content. That or they're for people to share whether they think it's worthwhile for you to buy a piece of gear. Anyway, point being, today we are unboxing and looking at some second-hand gear, and I have already actually unboxed the two microphones I'm going to show you in this video. Just checked to make sure they weren't like damaged or anything, that from what I could tell in transit. But I'm going to do my first little tryouts with these microphones in this video. So, a person that I have met, I was going to say friend, but I don't feel like I'd be being presumptuous to call someone a friend when I've had probably a total of like 5 conversations with them. But someone that I met on one of the songwriting retreats. I've been on a fellow producer who is far more experienced in the industry than I am, and he basically messaged one of the groups I'm in just saying that he was selling some gear because basically he's trying to save some money for a brand new toy, which is also secondhand. The cycle. And so I had a quick look through the list to see if there was anything I was interested in, and specifically, this is the main thing that I was interested in off the list that I mostly decided to actually buy 2 things off him for. But I was also interested in another microphone he had on the list. This Audio-Technica one. The Sennheiser MKE300 directional microphone designed to be used with a camera. Camera being over there, can't really show you guys yourself, but there's a camera over there that we're going to try it out on in a bit. And I've been wanting a directional microphone like this for using on my camera because I do a lot of recording myself at gigs, either for my covers gigs to get promotional material to show people what I'm like live, and you want to be updating that footage relatively regularly, and I also regularly record myself at open mics doing my own original material. And I've had some dodgy ass footage just because somebody's sitting not even that close to the camera having a conversation. The cheapest, easiest way I thought to maybe improve the sound quality on my camera a little bit is to get one of these. Obviously the best way to be able to record even in a live setting is to be able to take an output from the desk. You can't always be in those ideal scenarios, and this is going to be a lot easier to use in various different settings. So it was something that I was planning to get my hands on, was something like this microphone. So I saw that on the list, I was like, oh, I was planning to get one of them anyway. Might as well buy this second-hand one. Do him a favour because, he's trying to raise some funds. And I had a quick look and it looked like a good model that got decent reviews. So I was pretty happy to go ahead and buy it and try this one out. Anywho, so that's one of the mics we got. Let's unbox it first and then we'll talk about the other one. As I was looking through the list, I decided that as I was keen on maybe buying that, I didn't want to pay postage and stuff just to buy a 30-odd quid mic for my camera. Most of what he was looking to sell, because he's a bass player, is his main instrument, so there was quite a bit of bass related gear. But one thing that did stand out on the list was the Audio-Technica microphone, the AT4033. And unlike the microphones I've currently got, the reason why I thought I'd get this one is because it's not got the same sort of tonal response as the microphones I've got. My microphones, my SC4400s, across the spectrum, they have a very flat frequency response. If I remember correctly, I think the way this one was described was warm. I remember I decided to get it because I thought it would be good to have another condenser microphone with a different tone to it, and that this, when I had a look at it, and specifically people were talking about it having a nice colour to it, so it was going to be different from what I've got. And I thought, I'll get that, I'll try that. It's always good to have more condenser microphones in your setup and options to go for. Anywho, let's have a quick look at what's in the boxes, shall we? So, it comes with a little carry case. So here is the microphone. Da-da-da. It has got some wear and tear to it in terms of the microphone cover. I'm trying to figure out what this spinny bit here is for. Just gonna get the various little instruction and informational booklets out. We got our frequency response thing on the back here. Dips off pretty quickly on the lower end. Basically, you get past 200 and it dips down pretty much straight away, which should actually probably be quite good for most live music recordings, because a lot of the time I find that actually the bass can be a bit overwhelming on that camera. So, I'm going to attach it on to the camera, so I'll have to switch you guys off for a sec, and I'm going to attach this on and plug it in, and we'll give a little listen to what it sounds like. Okay, so that should be recording some sound now. Fingers crossed. Obviously, I'm going to have to actually check that. I don't really know. Oh, I'll be able to compare it to the video from before. That's how I'll be able to check it. So I shall update you when I've checked that. Okay, so I just gave it a quick check on my headphones just now, and it's safe to say that that has improved the sound there massively. You can't hear that light breathing anymore, which is great. So hopefully it will help to improve my recordings when I'm in a live setting. Anywho, so that's that microphone. Let's have a quick look-see at the other microphone. Microphone number 2. This is a large diaphragm condenser microphone from Audio-Technica. How did this box open? We have in here a shock mount. And he did, when he checked these for me and took photos, tell me that part of the shock mount, one of these little rubber bands, has disintegrated, bless it. But that it works just fine with one, and that I can buy a replacement for one of these if I want. So I may well buy a replacement for it at some point. It seems to work just fine without. And here is the microphone itself. It's quite a basic shock mount, this. It's not one where, because my shock mounts, my SE, they screw in and sit in a hole that is designed to hold them properly, whereas this is, it's just going to be suspended. I do love the box that the microphone is actually in. Very cute. Da 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 da. Here is our AT4033A specifically. Right, let's have a look at the thing, and I can tell you then what the frequency response of this microphone actually is, can't I? It is, again, pretty true across the frequency spectrum, but it's got a bit of a boost around 5K to 10K mark. And a bit of a boost around the 2K mark as well. So it sort of wobbles up a bit like that. But it's relatively even. But what is mostly said about it is that it should have quite a warm tone to it. We've got a pad on the back for -10 dB. I'll have to do a video where I actually directly compare the two, maybe, at some point. But let's just have a quick compare now by listening to the sound being recorded through this microphone. So we are now recording through this microphone sound. So you guys, if there is much of a difference, you guys should be able to hear some sort of difference. What do we think between the two? I'm going to give that a quick listen on here now to see if I can hear any difference. Okay, yeah, I definitely hear a difference there. From what I can tell just from this setup, which isn't a great setup to test and compare them, if I do a setup like this where the microphone isn't as close to me, I might actually use this one for that setup, because I think it's that warmth that it's got to it that people are talking about. Definitely going to do a video where I do a direct comparison between the two of these, where I record maybe some guitar with them and maybe an actual proper vocal in my vocal booth. But just doing that comparison now, I can already see how I might go for this microphone instead of my SE4400s if I'm doing a setup like this. And that kind of brings me on to the thing I more wanted to talk about in this video, because I didn't want to just unbox some secondhand gear. I wanted to do an unboxing video of some secondhand gear for a specific reason. Because you don't see them as often. A huge amount of content for audio engineering geeks is people being gifted gear and then reviewing it, people buying gear and then reviewing it, people talking about the new gear that's out there on the market. Obviously, it makes sense that a lot of that sort of content exists because people are being paid to make that sort of content, and also it's the sort of content that people are likely to click on more because people want to know about the new thing on the market. And I'm not saying that's a bad, terrible thing or anything. I'm very passionate about not wasting and not consuming more than we need to in this planet. I went through a phase where I bought quite a bit of makeup, and I was buying palettes of makeup that I just was not using very often and I didn't really need. But I would just get really excited, like, ooh, this new palette launched by this brand that I like. I have to have this one too. Why? Because it's got 2 new colours that you don't have, but all the other colours are colours that you kind of have before, and you're not actually going to use them that regularly. And I think that when it comes to the music industry at the moment, with the rise of the home producer, there's a certain amount of what is pushed online in terms of content and the way people talk about music production and music creation can fall into that overconsumption that we see in other industries, in industries like fashion. Brands are just bringing out new pieces of gear people don't necessarily need. Does it fulfill a need in the studio that isn't currently met? Does it replace something that needs replacing? Does it add something to your setup that you're actually going to use on a regular basis? Like, why are you buying that piece of gear? Even when it comes to secondhand gear, you know, just because something is secondhand doesn't mean you can't overconsume that to an extent too. But buying secondhand gear is always going to be better environmentally than buying new gear, because it's also important to remember that all of these electronics, and this includes stuff that goes into a music studio, and we talk about electronics and the damage that is being done to the environment and to communities, metals and minerals and stuff that are used in the production process for these electronics. It's getting talked about more now in relation to things like smartphones, but pretty much every piece of electronic equipment is going to have some element to it that has probably been sourced extremely unethically and at the expense of extremely poor communities in other countries. So I'm not trying to shame anybody here or virtue signal anybody here and say you should never buy a new piece of gear and you should only ever buy secondhand and you should only buy exactly what you need. But I just wanted to make a video where I unboxed some secondhand gear and talked about some secondhand gear excitedly about how it's going to improve my setup. What have you bought from a fellow musician who didn't need it anymore? What secondhand pieces are in your studio that you absolutely love? Because I think it's not just important that we talk about the impact that making these sorts of products has on the world around us, but also that we just celebrate a culture that is a massive part of the music industry, really, and that most of the people I know, a lot of the gear they do get secondhand. They haven't just picked up new gear. And I think that we should talk about that more and make sure that that aspect of music production is very much kept alive for the next generation coming up. I hope that they are encouraged to view pieces of gear as investments that you make for a lifelong projects that you look after and that you only buy when you need. And I'd like to see a lot more of that in what gets posted on social media, because investment pieces and buying gear that will actually serve a role in your studio, that's what building up a collection has always looked like, and that's what it should look like. Obviously, when you buy secondhand, you're not getting something brand spanking new, and so it might have some wear and tear, it might have some actual damage in some places, but as long as it still works the way it's supposed to, that isn't really any different from the new product in terms of its use, is it? The main reason why people tend to buy a lot of stuff secondhand is simply because it is one of the cheaper options. It's especially a way to get better quality gear for a slightly lower price. Although I wouldn't necessarily say that for somebody who's looking to set up a studio on a budget, the main thing they're going to end up looking at doing is buying loads of secondhand gear. Because these days you can pick up some decent quality pieces of equipment for a lot cheaper, even than the better quality equipment will cost secondhand. But obviously secondhand will generally save you money, but I think the bigger, more important thing, and the main reason why I would look secondhand first before looking new, is simply because why buy something new if there's something already out there that does the job just fine? And I would rather contribute more to the secondhand economy than I would the let's just keep making new products until the world burns economy. With the exception of when, you know, a piece of tech is actually made that actually upgrades things, I can safely say that this is definitely going to fulfill some sort of role that was not already being fulfilled in my studio. You can look forward to me doing a direct comparison video between these two microphones so we can see that in more detail. But yeah, I just wanted to show off and celebrate some secondhand gear that I have purchased that I am very happy with. I am off to an open mic tonight, so I'll probably include some footage at the end of this video of me using that microphone for the camera at the open mic as well. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and you share your own secondhand gear loves in the comments. If you did enjoy the video, then you might enjoy the rest of the content I do here on this channel, in which case you might want to consider hitting that subscribe button, but I know that is a big decision to make, so do feel free to check out any other videos before you do so. There'll be something recommended on the end screen. You can also follow me on all of my social media for more woo, look at the new, not new gear I've got, because you know I'll be milking this for content. I do love to milk buying new things for content. There's also a link to my Buy Me a Coffee in the description where you can support me with the monies, and if you join my membership you get outtakes videos and such. But you can also send me a one-off donation if you just wanted to say, nice video mate. Okay, that is everything. I shall see you guys next week with another fun music related video of some sort. Bye!